A little bit more about that. Joining me now in studio, retired Secret Service agent Michael Verden. He worked for former President George H.W. Bush. He's also CEO and founder of the Lake Forest Group, which consults on large-scale events around the world. So thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you.
So I think a lot of people would know, obviously the war is in Ukraine. It's contained to that nation. But the president is going to Poland, which is close in proximity relative to everything else going on in the world. What kind of considerations will be taken into account for the president taking a foreign visit this close to Ukraine?
Yeah, so typically when a president travels abroad, the Secret Service will send out an advance team, typically 2 weeks prior to the actual visit. And the anomaly here is, yes, you're in the outskirts of an actual war, so you have to take that into consideration. So when we plan our security plans for the visit, we have to also coordinate with the military, with the U.S. Embassy in Warsaw, with the local authorities. And so it's not your typical international trip by a president.
How much more tense is it? How much more on heightened alert would the Secret Service be, considering what is happening right now in Eastern Europe?
Yeah, I think that there is tenseness because of the unpredictability right now. It seems to escalate by the day. So as a Secret Service agent and you're in a foreign country, you have to also think about what we call 360 coverage. You have to worry about the ground, you have to worry about the air, and in this case, you have to even take into consideration chemicals, missiles, explosives, firearms. So once again, it's not your typical visit by a president to like Geneva or somewhere else that's not near a war.
And in terms of, I think about 9/11, I think about how New York changed following that deadly tragedy, and how every year in New York, living there as a New Yorker, you have that heightened alert. You see many more men suited up, women suited up with the bulletproof vests, with the guns. Will it look different around the president, especially in light of what's happening at these particular NATO talks in Belgium, and then also for his meeting in Poland?
Well, it won't look different, but it'll be different. One thing that people don't see is every day we're involved in protective intelligence briefings. And those briefings are about the social climate, political climate, and in this case, there's a war, right? So, yeah, from an intelligence standpoint, we may have a different security coverage for the president, but to the general public, they wouldn't see a difference.
And is the thought that even with the fact that the president is not going anywhere near Ukraine, he's not going into the war zone, that the president would need added protection because of demonstrations that are happening in and around the locations where he is, the fact that there could be bad actors who just seize on these kinds of opportunities in light of the fact that these heads of state, let alone the president of the United States, would be visiting at this time?
Yeah, so your resources, your staffing, your manpower is determined by the climate, by the times. So yes, that advance team will go out there, they'll determine numbers, they'll call back to Washington and say, hey, we're going to need so many people to secure these different venues. You're talking about airports, hotels, motorcade routes. So those numbers will be determined by, by what we're up against. In this case, there's an adversary that is within a very short distance. Mm-hmm. So that could probably change the numbers and change the resources.
Mm-hmm. For the president traveling, obviously we saw that delegation that just left from Poland ahead of the president. They had the advance team on the ground. For the president going into this situation, is there any particular details that the president would be given in terms of staying more aware, even though all of these agents have his back?
Right, and that's what we call contingency planning. So yeah, the president is briefed. He'll probably be briefed on Air Force One, but we have emergency plans in place. And another, I think, exception to the rule here is we're lockstep with the military. I mean, our military assets out there aren't always involved in every international trip, but in this case, they would be.
I want to say thank you to you. Thank you for joining us, not just joining our show, but joining us in studio. It's nice to see a real-life person. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click on the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.